Hold on. Stop everything you are doing right now, because what is happening in Golden State right now is not just another off-season story. This is a franchise-altering moment that will define the next chapter of Warriors basketball, and you need to hear every single word of this. Stephen Curry becomes extension eligible on August 29th. That is 3 days away. He can sign a deal worth up to $137 million over 2 seasons. The Warriors want it done. Curry has not shown any signs of wanting out. Everything looks clean on the surface. But then ESPN's Brian Windhorst dropped something that stopped the entire NBA world cold. On the Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective podcast, Windhorst said out loud what very few people were willing to say. He argued that it is possible and should seriously be considered that Stephen Curry does not sign his contract extension right now. Read that again. One of the most plugged-in insiders in the entire sport is telling Golden State to pump the brakes on locking up the greatest shooter who ever lived. Why would anyone say that? Why would anyone in their right mind suggest leaving $137 million on the table, even temporarily? Because the logic is deeper than it appears, and once you hear it, it is hard to argue with it. The Warriors this offseason chased LeBron James and came up empty. They made a strong push for Giannis Antetokounmpo before he ended up going to Miami. They tried, they failed, and now they are running it back with basically the same group. Brian Windhorst and others are pointing out that if Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler all hold off on signing extensions this summer, all 3 of them could structure team-friendly deals starting with the 2027-28 season. That would free up the Warriors' front office to surround this core with legitimately transformative talent for one final championship push. Think about that. One last super team attempt, one last title run, but built the right way with actual cap space, with actual flexibility, instead of being locked into a luxury tax situation that handcuffs every single move you try to make. Warriors fans have already been warned that 2026-27 could be a gap year of sorts, a season where the team tries to stay competitive but is not expected to go all the way. Jimmy Butler is recovering from a torn ACL and will miss the first several months of the season. Moses Moody is also out with a torn patellar tendon with no clear return timeline. Stephen Curry himself dealt with knee health issues down the stretch of last season. This is not exactly a roster built to win a championship right now, so the question becomes brutally honest and impossible to ignore. If this team is not winning a title this season anyway, why lock in $137 million that could limit your options for the rebuild that actually gives you a shot? The counter argument is just as real. Curry is 38 years old. He is in the final stage of one of the greatest careers in basketball history. Every day you leave him without a new contract is a day where doubt creeps in, where free agency conversations become possible, where the unthinkable suddenly gets a little more thinkable. The Warriors say they will give Curry whatever extension length he wants. There is mutual interest on both sides according to reporting from Shams Charania. But mutual interest and a signed deal are 2 very different things. And right now the clock is ticking toward August 29th with the biggest financial decision in franchise history hanging in the air. The practical deadline is really the start of the regular season. Curry walking into training camp without a new contract would create a level of noise and speculation that has simply never existed in his entire career. Does he trust the direction? Does he believe in the plan? Is he truly committed to finishing in Golden State? These are questions nobody wants to be asking out loud, but delaying the extension forces everyone to confront them whether they like it or not. What changes for the Warriors if Curry waits? Everything. Short term, the uncertainty is uncomfortable. Long term, if this gamble works, it could be the smartest move in Warriors franchise history. 3 days. That is all we have until August 29th arrives and this situation gets real in a way it has never been before. This is the most important offseason decision Golden State has faced in years, and right now, there is no clear answer. Buckle up. What do you think Stephen Curry should do? Sign the extension now or no for the better deal? TYP your answer in the comments right now. Okay, so this one right here is the kind of story that sneaks up on you. It sounds like a real estate update on the surface, but the moment you dig into what is actually being reported, you realize this has the entire Warriors fan base holding their breath. Stephen Curry and his wife Ayesha have quietly sold their massive Atherton estate for $29.1 million. The sale happened back in May, according to public records first surfaced by SF Gate, meaning this was a completely off-market transaction that nobody knew about for months. They bought the property in December 2020 through a limited liability company for $30 million, so they basically sold at just below purchase price. Nearly a break even on one of the most expensive pieces of real estate in the entire country. The home is an absolute palace. We are talking 17,761 square feet of living space at 28 Selby Lane in the Redwood Oaks neighborhood of Atherton, California, one of the wealthiest zip codes anywhere in the United States. 7 bedrooms, 8.5 bathrooms, a separate guest house, a walnut orchard, a resort-style swimming pool and cabana, a private wine cellar, and stunning indoor-outdoor living design. This is not a starter home. This is a compound, and the Currys sold it quietly, off-market, without making a single headline until the public records surfaced. Now here is where it gets spicy, because the internet did what the internet always does. People started connecting dots. Stephen Curry sells a Bay Area mansion. Stephen Curry has not yet signed his contract extension. Stephen Curry is set to become an unrestricted free agent at the end of the 2026-27 season. You can see where people's minds went. The trade request rumors started bubbling up almost immediately on social media, and once that kind of speculation gets oxygen, it spreads like wildfire. So let us be completely fair and honest here. There is nothing in the public record directly connecting this real estate transaction to any desire to leave Golden State. Curry has given no public indication that he wants out. The Warriors have made clear they will give him whatever contract extension he wants. And this is not even the first time Curry has sold major Atherton real estate. He previously sold another home in the area for $1.2 million back in 2021 while he was absolutely still a Warrior and very much committed to the franchise. At the time, nobody treated that as a departure signal, and they should not have. Real estate moves for wealthy people are often about portfolio management, privacy considerations, and lifestyle changes, not statements about their professional futures. The home has also been noted as an upcoming renovation project, with the new buyer apparently planning to expand it significantly before potentially relisting it. Still, you cannot completely dismiss the timing here either. This offseason has been genuinely difficult for Golden State. The LeBron James pursuit failed. The Giannis Antetokounmpo push failed. The roster did not get the star upgrade everyone hoped for. Jimmy Butler and Moses Moody are both out injured heading into the new season. And now the face of the franchise quietly sold his Bay Area mansion without saying a word about it publicly. In the context of everything else swirling around this team, that silence is loud. The Warriors front office knows they need to lock Curry in, not just financially but emotionally. They need him to feel like this organization is still the right place to chase his final chapter. The extension conversation that happens over the next few weeks is not just about dollars. It is about trust, vision, and whether Stephen Curry believes Golden State is still the team worth betting on. One thing is absolutely certain. The questions about his future are not going away anytime soon, and every day that passes without a signed extension makes this mansion sale look a little more significant, whether it actually is or not. If you are new here and you want Warriors content every single day, hit that subscribe button right now. We do this for you every single day. Stay right there because the next story involves Stephen Curry doing something we have never really seen from him before, and it completely changes how you look at this offseason. Alright, here is a story that most people slept on today, but should not have because it reveals something genuinely fascinating about the culture and the character inside the Golden State Warriors organization. When the Warriors finally broke their 2-month free agency silence on August 25th and signed Brandon Williams, Shams Charania had the numbers, the reporters had the contract details, but the real story was buried in the San Francisco Chronicle. Stephen Curry personally got on a Zoom call with Brandon Williams earlier this summer to recruit him to the Warriors. Let that sink in for a second. The greatest shooter in NBA history, a 4-time champion, a man who could be signing a $137 million extension any day now, took personal time out of his offseason to hop on a call with a 26-year-old undrafted guard from Dallas and pitch him on coming to Golden State. Williams' own coach and advisor Toby Spino confirmed it to the Chronicle's Luca Evans, recalling that when Curry first made contact, Williams had to stop what he was doing and go handle business because Wardell, that is Curry's real first name, was calling. That is the kind of detail that tells you everything about why players want to play in Golden State and why Stephen Curry is still the engine of this entire operation even heading into his age 38 season. Now let us talk about who Brandon Williams actually is, because the casual fan might not know this name yet. Williams went undrafted out of college back in 2021 and spent 3 seasons grinding his way into a legitimate rotation role with the Dallas Mavericks. Last season was a career year. He averaged 13 points, 3.9 assists, and 2.9 rebounds across 66 games in just 22 minutes a night, shooting 47.2% from the floor. He is not just a depth piece. According to sources who spoke to Clutch Points, Williams is expected to be one of the first names off the bench for Steve Kerr every single night this season. He is not coming in to clock out on the end of the bench. He is coming in to be a genuine part of the rotation, a primary ball handler off the second unit who brings rim pressure, transition speed, and off the dribble creation that the Warriors have desperately needed behind Curry. There is also a beautiful subplot here that makes this signing even more fun. Brandon Williams and D'Anthony Melton were high school teammates at Crespi Carmelite High School in Los Angeles, where they won back-to-back state championships together. When Williams' signing was announced, he immediately went to social media and wrote Ron Itibas KRBO to let Melton know they were about to reunite. That kind of genuine connection and chemistry coming into a locker room is not nothing. That is real culture. That is real energy. Now yes, there are legitimate questions about Williams too. At 6'1", he can be targeted defensively, and his 3-point shooting numbers from last season were not what you want to see from a guard in this system. But Steve Kerr's staff is reportedly already planning to work specifically on his perimeter game heading into training camp, and the Warriors have a proven track record of developing undersized guards who play hard and know how to play within a system. The fact that Stephen Curry himself personally recruited this kid says everything you need to know about how the Warriors view his ceiling. These are not minimum contract moves you make just to fill a roster spot. This is a calculated bet on a young player who already lit up the Warriors for 22.5 points per game on 72.7% shooting in 2 games against Golden State last season. Curry watched that tape. Curry made the call, and now Brandon Williams is a Warrior. Let us take a moment to talk about the elephant in the room that Warriors fans everywhere are feeling right now, but maybe nobody is saying loudly enough. Klay Thompson is in Miami. He is standing at a podium at Kaseya Center wearing number 11, grinning next to Eric Spoelstra, talking about his redemption season with the Heat. And whether you are happy for him or not, that image is a genuinely complicated one for anyone who bled blue and gold through the dynasty years. Thompson had his introductory press conference on Tuesday and was immediately asked about what this Miami chapter means to him. He was honest and direct in a way that he has rarely been throughout his entire career. He called it a redemption season and said he still has a lot to prove. He talked about heading to watch from home when the playoffs roll around, about getting the feeling of winning again, about chasing one more deep postseason run. Thompson gave up more than $9 million of his $17.5 million Dallas contract just to make this happen. He agreed to a buyout with the Mavericks and signed a 2-year $11.5 million deal with Miami. He sacrificed real money to get to a place where he actually had a chance to win. His last season in Dallas was rough. He played 69 games but started only 8 of them. He averaged 11.7 points per game, the lowest single-season average of his career. He was not the focal point. He was not the guy. And now he is going to a Miami team that also landed Giannis Antetokounmpo from Milwaukee after trading Tyler Herro and a mountain of draft picks to get him, with Bam Adebayo still anchoring the front court. Thompson is expected to start in Miami. He will be getting corner threes and trail threes in a fast-paced offense built to put shooters in the best possible positions. He shot 38.3% from 3 last season on 7.6 attempts per game, even while being basically buried in the Dallas rotation. In the right system, with the right spacing and the right star commanding defensive attention, Thompson can still be genuinely dangerous from the perimeter. And here is why this matters so directly to Warriors fans today. Thompson acknowledged at his press conference that Andrew Wiggins was the first Heat player to reach out to him because Wiggins was the only teammate who already had his number from their time together in Golden State. That is the thread that still connects Thompson to the Warriors universe. But the basketball conversation now is about what his departure and what this entire offseason means for the direction of the franchise he spent 13 seasons building into a dynasty. The Warriors lost Thompson, they failed to replace him with a star this summer, and now they are watching him chase a title with one of the deepest rosters in the Eastern Conference. Miami has Giannis Antetokounmpo, Adebayo, Thompson, and a full supporting cast built for a championship run right now. Meanwhile, Golden State is heading into the 2026-27 season without Butler for at least the first half, without Moody, and with a roster held together largely by minimum contracts. The contrast is stark, and the feeling in the Bay right now is that this era deserves a better send-off than what the offseason has provided so far. For all of that, Thompson said what he needed to say on Tuesday. He still has a chip on his shoulder. He still wants to prove the doubters wrong. He still plays with the urgency of someone who has tasted the highest highs and refuses to accept that those days are permanently behind him. Drop it in the comments. Are you rooting for Klay Thompson to get redemption with Miami? Or does seeing him there hurt too much? Let us know. Okay, so the Warriors completed their 15-man roster on Tuesday by signing Georges Niang to a 1-year $3.9 million deal. The 15 spots are full. The offseason is technically done. But here is the thing. One medical voice jumped into the conversation almost immediately after the signing was announced. And what that voice said is something every single Warriors fan needs to hear before they get too comfortable with this roster being locked in. Dr. Narav Pandya, a prominent orthopedic surgeon, issued a public warning about Niang's health situation after the signing was confirmed. Niang missed the entire 2025-26 season with a fourth metatarsal stress reaction in his left foot, an injury he suffered during off-season training and conditioning back in September. The Jazz initially monitored him and tried to manage the situation conservatively, but after 2 weeks they ruled him out for the entire campaign. He was eventually traded from Utah to Memphis, then waived by the Grizzlies in February, without ever playing a single game. Dr. Pandya explained that a stress reaction is an injury to the microstructure of the bone, typically from repetitive overuse, and that if not treated appropriately it can escalate into a full stress fracture. That is a significantly more serious situation, one that could end a career rather than just cost a season. Now the good news, and there is real good news here. Every report coming out of the Warriors camp says Niang is expected to be healthy for the start of the 2026-27 season. He is described as fully recovered and eager to contribute. He showed up to sign this deal as a free man with no active injury designation, and the Warriors medical staff has cleared him. Before that injury derailed him, Niang was one of the most durable players in the league, appearing in 70, 276, 78, 82, and 79 games across 5 consecutive seasons. That is not the track record of a fragile player. That is the track record of someone who shows up every single night, and his numbers in his final healthy season were genuinely impressive. He averaged 12.1 points per game for the Atlanta Hawks with a career 40% three-point shooting mark, one of the more reliable stretch 4 profiles in the entire league. The Warriors signed him specifically to fill the void left by losing Quinton Post to Memphis in free agency. With Jimmy Butler out and Moses Moody out, Golden State needs every healthy body they can get up front. And Niang coming off the bench as a pick and pop threat who can punish switching defenses is exactly the kind of low-cost, high IQ move that could quietly prove valuable if he stays on the floor. ESPN's Anthony Slater highlighted that Niang was targeted specifically for his availability and perimeter spacing, 2 things this team desperately needs from their frontcourt reserves. He will back up Draymond Green, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, and rookie Axel Lendeborg in the frontcourt rotation. The Warriors also still have 1 2-way contract spot available according to reports, meaning there is technically one more roster decision to come before the season tips off on October 21st against the Los Angeles Lakers. But the 15 guaranteed spots are locked. The roster is what it is. And the biggest storyline heading into training camp is not whether Williams or Niang can contribute. It is whether Georges Niang's foot holds up from day 1 through the end of the year, because if he goes down again, this Warriors bench has very little margin for error heading into what is already shaping up to be one of the most challenging seasons of the Stephen Curry era. And that is a wrap on today's 5 biggest stories. Stephen Curry has a $137 million decision to make by August 29th, and Brian Windhorst says he should wait. The Currys quietly sold their $29.1 million Atherton mansion, and the internet is losing its mind with trade rumors. Stephen Curry himself jumped on a Zoom call to personally recruit Brandon Williams to Golden State. Klay Thompson showed up in Miami, calling this his redemption season. And Georges Niang completed the 15-man roster, but an orthopedic surgeon is already sounding the alarm on his foot. Before you leave, check out the video on your left and the video on your right. Both of them are ones you are going to want to see immediately. As always, Warriors Today. We are here every single day, all day, bringing you everything you need to know about your Golden State Warriors. Stay locked in.